Welcome to Skyrim Adventure. Today we are gonna create a new game to show you what it's really like to start off with a fresh save and a heavily modded Skyrim Special Edition.
Hey, you're finally awake.
Even after 400 hours and uncountable characters, the immersive first-person intro still is an essential part of my playthrough experience.
We're all brothers and sisters in binds now, thief.
Prisoner's cutscene is a classic. It's filled to the brim with memorable quotes and dramatic atmosphere.
This is Helgen. I used to be sweet on a girl from here.
We are taken prisoner by the Imperial Legion and are about to get executed in the village of Helgen.
It has been an honor, Jarl Ulfric.
No, I'm not a rebel! You can't do this!
Archers! Anyone else feel like running?
For this walkthrough, we create a Shadow-Fire Battlemage. Dark Elves have high destruction values by default and are therefore our race of choice.
Lilith Moonshade.
Another refugee? Gods really have abandoned your people, Dark Elf. We'll make sure your remains are returned to Morrowind.
My ancestors are smiling at me, Imperials.
ENB makes a 10-year-old game look gorgeous. This is how it looks without the powerful enhancing graphics software.
Justice!
Next, the Dark Elf!
What in oblivion is that?
Dragon!
Come on, the gods won't give us another chance. This way! Up through the tower. Let's go!
A terrible dragon attacks and we have to escape the imminent death and destruction.
Jump through the roof and keep going. We'll follow when we can.
Still alive, prisoner? Keep close to me if you want to stay that way.
Guide you.
Stay close to the wall!
To escape the mysterious black dragon, we have to enter Helgen Keep. We can join either Hadvar the Imperial or Ralof the Stormcloak.
With me, prisoner! Let's go!
As Hadvar still calls us a prisoner, we decide to go with the rebels.
We'll meet again in Sodomgard, brother. Looks like we're the only ones who made it. Come here. Let me see if I can get those bindings off. There you go.
Before we take Gundar's gear, we have to open up a menu the first time in the playthrough. Some mods, such as iEquip, require activation in the MCM menu every time you start a new game. Loading all presets and adjusting the MCM menus of all mods on a new character used to take me around 15 minutes on average. With the new settings loader mods, I can make it under a minute now, as only a few mods don't have any way to save and load settings. That way, creating a new game isn't nearly as tedious as it was before. It's fun and encouraging to try out new characters over and over again without the painful process of going through all the menus every time.
Take his armor and anything else on it.
It's time to equip our first set of armory and weapon. Equipping our axe, flame spell and power/shout will automatically add the item to the iEquip queue. That way we can swap between them dynamically later in fight without having to open up a menu again.
No way to open this from our side.
Come on!
Imperials! Take cover!
Heavily armored Imperial Legionnaires. Our first fight of the game. With Ralof's help, we cut down the attackers. They drop the key to proceed the dungeon and an even better armor, which we equip immediately.
See if it unlocks that door.
More Imperials are waiting in the next room. Let's battle.
Storeroom. See if you can find any potions.
An entire squad of Legionnaires is holding position in this room. Our proficiency in fire magic will turn the tables.
Let's go on ahead. See if the way is clear.
Spiders are exceptionally tough opponents in the early game on my setup. They can deal incredible amounts of damage and their poison drains stamina that we need to attack, block and dodge. A lot of caution and resource management is required to take them down eventually. We will come across that again at a later time in the playthrough. With our stamina depleted, the bear hits us several times until we get a perfect block in and finish him off. Wounded from the fight, we run through the dark tunnels of the keep to eventually find the exit to freedom.
Wait!
Looks like he's gone for good this time. My sister, Gerda, runs the mill in Riverwood. Just up the road. It's probably best if we split up. Good luck.
We set foot into the fantastic pine forest, ready to explore the wilderness. The quality of landscape, grass and tree mod seems to increase every day. Creators deliver amazing graphics with impressive fidelity that makes traversing the land an experience itself.
Never should have come here.
Consider subscribing if this content is worth your while. Your subscription is rewarding, motivating, and it helps me to build up the channel. Skyrim's combat has evolved on many different levels. I find all the new mechanics extraordinarily enjoyable, and the development of new combat mods will just not stop.
Today, huh?
For our first level up, we choose to advance our stamina and invest our first perk point in one-handed. Stamina is an important start in my combat focused mod list. If you want to find out more about the stamina system, feel free to take a look at the video linked in the top right corner of your screen. We are playing on expert, but the difficulty in my setup is redone and rebalanced in many ways to create a challenging and fun combat experience. We got lucky on the finishers, getting clean kill moves throughout the entire run. Embershard Mine's dungeon is just right to gain early XP, weapons, equipment and a substantial amount of coin to buy spells and potions later on our adventures. Archers can be tricky opponents, especially for melee classes, but they also usually outdamage the early casters. That was close. We loot the bandit spoils and make our way out of the cave towards the village of Riverwood, our first settlement in the game. Riverwood is one of the most iconic and beautiful places in entire Skyrim. Its cozy vibes and familiar feeling are unmatched.
New to Riverwood? A dragon. In Helgen? The Jarl needs to know if there's a dragon on the loose. If you'll do that for me, I'll be in your debt.
After getting the quest from Gardur, we go to the Riverwood trader.
Well, one of us has to do something.
Said no. No adventures, no theatrics, no thief chasing.
We sell and buy some items before we find out that the merchant in front of us has been robbed.
Robbers were only after one thing, an ornament, solid gold in the shape of a dragon's claw. You could?
Show those thieves not to steal from Luke and Valerius.
The merchant wants us to retrieve the dragon's claw from Bleak Falls Barrow dungeon. We set out and make our way up the hill to the mysterious gravesite. Distracted by the spectacular mountain view, we stumble into a bandit watchtower. We decide to free the place from the desperados so the roads are safe to travel again. We pick up some decent loot from the chest before we continue our quest and eventually arrive at Bleak Falls Barrow. We take out the bandits that are waiting for us with a two-handed axe. The attacks feel heavy and impactful thanks to the Dark Souls inspired moveset. Unfortunately, there is an archer giving us a hard time again. We have to reposition and change our combat strategy. Like that, we are able to finish him off after all and enter the dungeon. The latest development in combat mods makes a dynamic and responsive combat experience possible. Like this, Skyrim is about reacting and finding the right action at the right time in combat rather than picking the right item from your inventory. I try to reduce the menuing to a minimum, especially in combat situations. To do that, all combat actions had to be mapped to an extended hotkey system. It took me quite some time, nerve and some workarounds to set everything up and get used to it, but now it plays incomparably smoother and better than it has ever before. I'm playing on an Xbox 360 controller. I feel like faster paced action games feel more intuitive to navigate with controller, and the haptic feedback with the shaking feature provides a very direct connection to the player character's actions. Fun fact is that the waiting feature is no longer mapped to my gamepad, as it was an abusable mechanic in combat where you can always run away and heal yourself up without using a potion. Level up again. This time let's invest in our defenses, advancing our health points and our heavy armor rating.
Is someone coming? Is that you, Hotbeard?
We make a new save at this point because the upcoming mini-boss can be very challenging and quite hard to defeat. You can see the extensive resource management I was talking about earlier that is necessary to be successful in this fight. The potential for such explosive damage makes this one of the hardest enemies in the early game. I died 3 times recording it until I could beat it. Only with a lot of caution, concentration and accuracy are we able to eventually defeat this big hairy monstrosity.
The claw, the markings, the door in the Hall of Stories, I know how they all fit together. Help me down and I'll show you.
Arvel the Swift got caught in the spider's lair. Not only is he the thief of the claw, he also selfishly abandoned his comrades. As we cut him down, we discover a new enemy type, the undead Draugr. Arvel's dead body contains the dragon's claw, our quest item, and also a journal. The journal says something about a Hall of Wonders, which evokes curiosity in our adventurous hearts and makes us merrily dwell deep into the undead territory. First, we have to briefly manage our iEquip queues, removing unarmed from the cycle to not accidentally end up without any weapon equipped in combat. The lower level Draugr are usually not that tough to defeat individually, but they can gang up and surround the player, which makes them dangerous in certain situations. Populated Dungeons adds more Draugr and overall more enemies to the game. This works better with both the action, combat and gameplay systems implemented in my game, and it brings me almost unlimited amounts of joy to hack and slay enemies because the feedback feels incredibly satisfying. Fighting in the narrow corridors can be tough sometimes, so we have to get creative and burn our way through the Draugrs. Modding can be hard sometimes. Technical tweaks, bug fixing and troubleshooting is easier with the help of others. Become a member of the Discord channel linked in the description to join the community and get help with your modding problems. Being able to switch from the flame spell to the oak flesh spell and cast a defensive shield makes you feel strategic and skillful. I cannot emphasize enough how good iEquip is as a mod and how drastically it improves your game flow and combat pace overall. Let's venture deep into the Bleak Falls Sanctum, making our way through more ancient traps and fierce undead to uncover the secrets of the Crypt and find the mysterious Hall of Wonders. We evade, strike, cast and make use of the oil on the ground again to take out multiple Draugrs at once. With the help of the symbols imprinted in the dragon's claw, we are able to solve the puzzle. We are being cautious and prepared as we hear menacing sounds coming from behind the stone door. We are hacking our way through the undead hordes only to discover more enemies at the entrance of the Hall of Wonders. At this point we are almost sure that they have to be guarding something and we want to find out what it is. Blue energy streams from the symbols in the wall, but before we can find out what this is all about, we are being attacked by an undead overlord. Our first dungeon end boss of the game. Looting the body, we find a dragon stone, which we will find out more about in just a minute. There are 2 more hidden chests in this room. If you're curious, feel free to click on the video linked in the top right corner of your screen. After striking down the last undead, we finally make our way to the surface again, where we immediately travel to Riverwood to return the claw.
You're back from Bleak Falls. You found it! There it is! You've done a great thing for me and my sister.
Our next destination is Whiterun to inform the Jarl about the dragon attack. We are lucky enough to witness a breathtaking night sky with northern lights as we travel the road towards the city. Color grading made possible with Photorealistic Tamriel enhances the immersive atmosphere with all the lights even more, making it a pleasure to navigate in the game world.
Halt! City's closed with the dragons about. Official business only. Fine. But we'll be keeping an eye on you.
As the guard lets us pass, we enter the fantastic atmosphere of Whiterun the first time. It's a remarkable city with ingenious design and one of my favorite places to always come back to and enjoy the vista. We make our way up to Dragon's Reach Keep to inform the Jarl about the dragon attack. Let's watch the following dialogues to progress the story.
Jarl Balgruth is not receiving visitors. Well, that explains why the guards let you in. The Jarl will want to speak to you personally.
So, you were at Helgen. You saw this dragon with your own eyes? You've done Whiterun a service. Here, take this as a small token of my esteem. Let's go find Farengar, my court wizard.
Yes, I could use someone to fetch something for me. Ah, the Dragon Stone of Bleak Falls Barrow. You already found it.
Farengar, you need to come at once. A dragon's been sighted nearby.
A dragon? How exciting.
There's no time to stand on ceremony, my friend. I want you to go with Irileth and help her fight this dragon.
Before we can face the dragon, we have to buy new spells from the court wizard to prepare for the powerful enemy. We are now equipped with a Shadow Bolt as well as an instant speed Firebolt spell that we can cast via the Shout hotkey thanks to spells as Lesser Powers mod. Before we proceed, we briefly set up the iEquip queues to access our newly acquired abilities by just pressing a button. We then meet up with the other soldiers to witness Irileth's emotional motivational speech for the dragon fight.
A dragon is attacking the Western Watchtower. I don't much care where it came from or who sent it. What I do know is that it's made the mistake of attacking Whiterun. Now what do you say? Shall we go kill us a dragon?
Yeah.
Damn right!
With the moral support of our commander and comrades in the back, all there is left is to wait until the next morning to buy health and fire resist potions on the market. Courage is one thing, but to have solid preparation in the form of potions certainly doesn't hurt, especially in the face of a very difficult encounter. We are now ready to make our way to the watchtower. We can already smell the smoke and see the flames from afar.
I know it looks bad, but we've got to figure out what happened. Spread out and look for survivors.
No, get back. It's still here somewhere.
Here he comes! Find cover!
We find ourselves in an epic battle between the brave guards of Whiterun and the winged monstrosity with fire breath. Deadly Dragons mod introduces new abilities to the flying fire spitters, making the fight punishing, interactive and extra challenging to create the feeling of a somewhat hopeless fight against a gigantic monster instead of just battling a predictable health bar. Let's pop our potion of fire resistance to increase our chances of surviving the destructive fire attacks. With all our courage, we look the dragon right in the eyes as we engage in a short 1v1 exchange of blows where we attack and retreat strategically, making use of our ranged combat magic. After a long and exhaustive fight, we finally find the window to show the monster the edge of our blade and strike him down for good.
can't believe it. Your Dragonborn tried to shout. According to the old legends, only the Dragonborn can shout without training.
We demonstrate the shout, proving that we are a real Dovahkiin, a Dragonborn that can speak in the tongue of the dragons themselves. And so today's adventure ends, but the journey has just begun. Our Fire and Shadow Battlemage Lilith Moonshade will become an awesome late game character. The stories about the glory of battle that our heroes to fight for are waiting to be told in a different tale. Thank you for watching and see you next time.